Welcome to Dad's House Podcast, where we talk about mortgage and real estate.
And we talk about the adventure of being a father. We have 7 kids between the 2 of us, not us. 7 kids total, and what it takes to raise those kids properly.
Crazy ass kids.
I get to punch Jose in the face with my political views very commonly.
Yeah, he's a Democratic /
Socialist communist.
But we also love to cover entertainment and talk about in the news. I like that GQ article with Kim K, Man of the Year. Come on now. All right. In the news, we love it. So don't forget to subscribe.
Like and share our content, please.
Let's get into episode 26. Let's do a year in review. Not so much podcast year in review, but I want to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly of your industry, my industry.
Yeah.
What you're proud of, biggest lesson maybe. I don't want to say your biggest loss. Nobody cares about losses. We care about the lessons.
Sure.
You agree?
Yeah.
All right. I want to talk about Dad's House episode. I officially picked the first 2 books for our children, our high schoolers, what they're going to read. If they want to go on trips, go to Magic Mountain, have birthday parties with their friends and hang out, they have to be part of my book club, family book club. So these are books that I've already read. I'm going to give them a book every 6 weeks. We're going to dissect it. They're going to have to turn a book report. And the first one, it's a boring book, but it's a really good story. And so I'm going to share that. But more importantly, let's talk a little bit about refinances. Mortgage refinances back. And I'm going to ask you why. This week, today's Friday, this week alone, I had 2 of my past clients reach out to me and say, Jose, I'm ready to refinance. I see the rates are coming down. I'm getting your emails, your database emails. And it looks like I could save some money because, they have 6.5, 6.7, whatever. What does the mortgage professional, Mr. Ernesto, say about that question? Is it a good time for me to refinance today?
So the answer is yes. In a lot of cases, if you're able to, and you bought a house in the last couple of last couple of years, but last year for sure, you might want to be looking at bringing that rate down. Now, is the timing perfect? I don't know. It depends on your your situation and the urgency. But more and more as 2024 develops, I think we're going to see more and more refinance opportunity out there. I know I have clients. I reach out to my database. Everybody that's in my database is going to get some contact from me on a monthly basis, at least. Mm-hmm. When you do that consistently, what you see is the level of communication goes up and down from their end back, depending on how they feel the market is moving for them. And I see some real fire coming out of my database. To be
So I'm looking here, obviously, with the company Elite Fundings. I'm looking forward to the refi boom. I think we should start thinking and hiring some personnel once the rates drop a little, under 5, to reach out to the masses, right? To see who we can assist and how. But besides that, I need to refinance. I've done the math. I looked at my properties. I need to refinance 2 properties ASAP. Obviously not today. I'm not ready yet. I'm going to wait for the first quarter of 24. Let's see where we are in February, March. I need to refinance 2 homes. So,
but back to the original question: is refinance a good idea? Depends on your particular situation. But particular situations will look at the overall 2024 environment and say, this might be my time. So more people will be taking advantage of refinance.
No, I get it. All right, so let's talk about the book club of the month for my children. Dad's House Podcast. You have 2 kids. Have you read? Let me tell you this book. It's a boring ass book, but it's a great story. So
great story. Why is it a boring book?
It's almost like you're reading the Bible in the words that it says.
I see.
The Richest Man in Babylon.
Oh, I've read this book.
Yeah, it's a good book. Right, it's a great story about.
Great story and a great book.
Him going into debt, him overspending, using other people's money, and then finding a way by meeting, a mentor in the book and saving 10 cents of what he makes and paying his creditors. And great freaking story.
It is.
By the way, that book was recommended to me by one of my very first real estate coach of the company, Club Wealth, Michael Hallickson. He, when I signed up, sent me a bunch. I think he sent me like 5 or 6 books. That was one of them. I still have it in my office with a note that he wrote in there for me.
I would tell you that if I was going to pick any book for my kids to read that they, hopefully might pique some interest in the story itself, that's one of the better.
That's a good book.
It doesn't exactly tell you, hey, guess what? I'm going to take you through the evolutions of how people treat money. And at the end of it, you'll see how best to treat money. It basically treats it as a story from beginning to end. And at least I found it entertaining.
Yeah.
I think it would have.
It's a compound interest story of just being consistent, not looking for the big cash out payout overnight, which, rarely happens. And number two, just the story of, having a strategy and a game plan with your finances, right?
This is great for your kids. And I would say the first thing I think about when you say the compound interest story goes contrary to the story that a lot of young people are getting fed right now, which is, here's a get-rich-quick scheme. Here's another get-rich-quick scheme.
Make a post and get rich.
Drop shipping. Do what? All the schemes I've heard of. I think 2023 was the biggest scheme year I've seen probably in my life.
Is it scheme or exposed? Because a lot of people have got exposed.
Schemes that got exposed. Yeah. So the idea that, you're going to get rich and famous off of the internet somehow, that Amazon can make you rich, all that stuff. And some of them aren't even schemes. Some of them are legit, but there's a lot more work behind it than they sell you on in the beginning. Before you know how much work is involved, you're $20,000 lost.
It reminds me of is it Avon? The Avon, I think it's an MLM, right? They would get a lot of the ladies, go sell perfumes, lotions, and drinks.
Right?
My family did as well. So that's why I remember going to the local store in Baldwin Park.
Yes.
To go, I don't know if it was to go pick up product with my mom.
Yeah.
Or pay. I'm not sure what it was, but I would go with her. It was right by the Baldwin Park postal office. And I remember thinking, this is a hair salon. Why are we picking up soap and lotions, right? Yeah, somebody was making money there. I don't think my mom made money on that.
Avon had a headquarters not too far from here, Monrovia, Pasadena.
Listen, they've been in business a long time. Maybe it's a thriving, great business. But again, strategy, game plan, and compound interest and saving and having, that's the mindset for January, for the first 6 weeks of 2024 with the kids.
What I try to tell my kids is get on that compound interest game as soon as possible, because you could, by the time you're my age, you could be calling your own shots, and it's not that difficult if you start now.
Yeah, and I can share this because I had this conversation with my two oldest. So as you know, we have two 21-year-olds, and I've had the discussion. You're 21, you're out there, you own your cars, you still live at home, you tried going to school, you don't go to school, now you're working, whatever, right? What are some regrets that you have? And luckily, both of them, not luckily, but they were very transparent and honest. And they said, you know what? I wish I would have listened to some of the stuff that you and mom were preaching.
Yeah.
And they use the word preaching like in a bad, derogatory way, like preaching to us always. Read this, do this, go to this class and course. And honestly, we were there. We were 21. We didn't listen to our parents. We always thought we knew it. So I'm making this effort now with the three youngest to really push it. Book number 2, I already have it. I want to get your thoughts on it, or maybe your opinion. Maybe switch another book. But on week 7 of 24, we're going to get into Think and Grow Rich. I think it's Napoleon Hill, the author, right? So I remember reading that book and really getting into it. Again, tell stories of a lot of tycoons in the U.S. back in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 1920s and 30s. So I'm looking forward for them to discover that, right? 2 of the kids are pissed off that they're going to do it. One of them seems excited, but he's the one that doesn't like to read. So I'm looking forward, like, okay, he's excited. Can I keep him engaged?
Will you accept audiobooks?
Yeah.
You will?
I would. I would, but I hope that I'm airing the book so they can highlight it and then revisit the conversation, because we're going to have 30, 35, 45-minute conversation with all 3 of them.
I find audiobooks to be just as useful as long as you're taking notes. If you're not taking notes,
I agree with that. I get distracted.
Yeah.
I'll get a text, I get an email, and I'm listening. I'm very in tune with it until I get the damn text or the email. And it's, I got to put out a fire, or, the client wants to cancel, or, an agent is complaining about something, right? So
as much as I feel bad for your kids most of the time, I don't feel bad for them this time, because it's a great lesson. You're going to teach them a great lesson. And you're going to keep yourself from having to support kids when they're not kids anymore.
That's a goal.
Yeah.
And kind of like Pat says, my coach, my current coach, as a parent, we get judged from the parenting that we do today, not tomorrow.
Right.
Not when they're 20 years old, and when they're 20, 30, 35, 20 years from now is where you're going to see who you raise and what they're about, if they're contributing to society. And, I think he calls it net positive to society. And I love that. I love that thought. So my goal is for them to be happy. them to create their own, them to feel comfortable in their own skin, but be able to communicate in the future with whoever comes across them.
Nice.
Right? At a high level.
Very cool.
All right. What book would you recommend? 15, 16-year-old, 17-year-old kids.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a great book.
That's the next. That's the week. That's the third book.
But I think even the author of that book sells big on the Rich Dad part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And he though he speaks kindly of Poor Dad, the author of that book goes off on the virtues, the benefits of acting more and more like Rich Dad, right?
Yeah.
There's a middle ground for me in there. There's a big middle ground for me.
I actually agree with you. The humble part, I get it.
A humble part. There's a wisdom on both sides of it.
100%.
And I think he oversells, and that's just my opinion. Don't hate me later. But he oversells the Rich Dad portion of it. It's too wealth driven and not enough focus on, hey, this is the balance of life that makes that wealth.
Well, think about it.
Juicy. Makes it enjoyable.
Part of that overselling is that book was written. Do you know how old that book is?
Yeah,
I think it's at least 25 to 30 years.
yeah, something like that. Kiyosaki's what, 70 now?
He's put
Talking
yeah.
about himself when he was a teenager.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a reason that book has long legs.
Sure.
30 years later, we're still talking about it. We're still recommending it at our offices.
It's a great book. I'm not saying it's a great book. I just think if you're gonna have a young person read it, don't not put in your 2 cents.
Yeah, I agree. Rich Dad, and by the way, I'm going to do Rich Dad, Poor Dad for kids. Because they're kids. I don't need them to think like an entrepreneur or a business owner, a licensed agent. I need them to think like kids. It's written down, it's watered down a little bit for them. So, we'll see. We'll see. So those are my 3 books for the first 3 books for the first quarter for our family. Richest Man in Babylon, Think and Grow Rich, and Rich Dad, Poor Dad for kids. I look forward to the book reports. Maybe we'll come in here and process them.
Can you imagine the conversations you're going to have with your kids next week?
Oh, I look forward to it. I look forward to it. I really do. All right. So let's really analyze 2023 for Ernesto Garcia, for your business, for my business, for myself. In review, we could talk about podcasts. We could talk about your buyers, your seller, your refinance business. We could talk about
what refinance business?
Exactly. We can talk about your wealth building if you bought anything. Let's cover anything wins, stuff that you're proud of, and biggest lessons. We all have losses. You could call it losses. I'm going to call it lessons.
Yeah.
For this subject.
Big lesson. So I have always told, if anybody who's ever worked with me as a loan officer knows that for me, loans, it's kind of a game of numbers. If you want more business, talk to more people and count it. Mm-hmm. Count how many people you're talking to, because you're going to find out how much business you're going to get based on your own, level of exposure out there. So if you talk to 30 people, 2 months later, how many loans did you get out of that? 3 months later, how many loans? You have to be able to track the first seeds that you're planting to the paycheck. And so this year was a reiteration of something that I kind of always said. It's a lesson that I've always kind of put out there, but it was a test of it. So if you increase the amount of people that you speak to, you should see an increase of business. Unless 2023 hits and rates are going crazy, now you have to talk to more people to do the same amount of business.
Probably less.
Or less,
yeah.
Right? Because you're going to talk to less motivated people, and you're going to talk to people that are maybe highly motivated but don't have the ability that they had when the rates were low.
Right.
So it was a big test of that for me, because I remember stretching to the point where I was talking to double the amount of people that I had once spoken to. And if I had been doing those numbers, it would, Brazilia's gangbusters a couple of years ago, but now it carried me through 2023, right? In other words, I was able to finish the year out okay,
sure,
but it wouldn't have, in previous years at the lowest rates, forget it. Maybe retired this year.
So the tracking and the consistency.
Tracking is incredibly important. Consistency is incredibly important.
Yeah.
You have to see where your thermometers are at any given moment so that you know how to ramp up business and how and what are the efficiencies you can build in.
Is 2023 the worst year you've had in the mortgage industry in the last 5 years?
Other than the first year I came in, yes.
Okay. Thank you for being honest. That's a big, but yet you're still here and you're not out of the business.
Well, when I say the worst year, it was the worst year in terms of, it wasn't, the income in 2023 doesn't compare to the income in 2006 when I stepped in.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that it's worse along those lines, but in terms of difficulties in the business itself, generally speaking, yes, hell yes. You talk to anybody who came out of 2006, 7 and 8. In that moment, things like they seemed like they were going to fall off the cliff.
I remember those.
People were like talking some horrible stuff back then, and that seemed bad until you got to 2023. 2023, it was layer upon layer upon layer of ever increasing interest rates, which every time the rate increases a little bit, that many more people fall out of the bottom or get unmotivated to buy.
I think, okay, so 2023 was a year of the unknown. In 2006, 7, 8, and 9, you knew what was happening. Prices were going down, and there was no lenders were not lending. The government was having to step in to save America, right? With the HARP loans. Is that what it was called? The HARP.
Sure, I don't.
The TARP loans, I think it was called, the Toxic Asset Relief.
I do remember
program.
That the government stepped in, started buying mortgage bonds, and
people at that time knew what the fuck was happening. They knew that the world was, crumbling. The mortgage industry and real estate.
I don't think they knew. I think saying that they knew I think they felt the direction. Everything's going to crap. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to say that they knew, I don't think there was a stability either for the common man or for the investors. That's why everybody was like, "What do we do?"
I think if we had a 228 loan, a 2-year fixed loan, they knew what was happening. They were in a bubble.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah. They knew that it was a ticking time bomb, and on all the houses, all the short sales, and all their coworkers that were losing their properties, having a short sale. They knew. I think unknown 2023 would describe it best. Inflation going up. The race war. I don't want to say the race wars, but everything that was happening with in the streets of Portland and there was a lot of shit happening.
You're talking about instability in the country. Yeah,
that's the best word to use. The instability that was happening, and then rates going up.
But the instability was on a social level. It was so yes, all that stuff, and some of it continues to happen right now.
Yeah.
Hey, we're just not hearing as much about it on the news anymore. But that for me, that's a kind of a different question overall.
It almost seemed like civil war with the whole January 6th. But again, I'm not talking.
The January 6th. Well, January 6th,
that was 2021. Yeah, but it carried over 22, 23, the lawsuits.
For sure.
Yeah. But going back to the market, inflation's going up. Interest rates going up. You know what wasn't coming down?
Rates.
Home prices.
Yeah.
It was the unknown. Like everybody, the conversations I'm having is, I have no escrows. I can't get my offer accepted. There's no inventory. And yet the prices, I still have, when I do get an offer accepted, I have to offer $15,000 more.
There's a piece of it that I think about and I'm like, that seems unfair to the common buyer.
I agree with that.
Few properties could influence the value of all the rest of them because compared to how many properties there actually are, so few of them were and are selling. There'll be more next year, but few are and were selling, and still they have the power. Those few properties had the power to push values up.
Yeah,
that seems a little unfair. There should be a wider sample in my mind. Somehow,
I believe it's because the shortage of inventory is this
it's a
direct
supply and demand question,
and that's what it was.
In the purest way.
And that's in Southern California where we are.
Yeah.
Other states, they didn't have that issue. They had too many homes available, and their market did crash 15, 20, 30%.
Yeah, I keep thinking about Austin. Remember?
Yes.
Austin, Texas is a fantastic city. I've been there a bunch of times. It's a beautiful place to live, by the way, but they oversold it. They over-Airbnb.
So much building. Yeah, absolutely.
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And now Austin's in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. Ohio's another one. So, okay. So for me, I think my biggest win is how systemized we became in this year. This was a year of analyzing and like you said, tracking, but analyzing our business as a whole. Every department, every number, and I'm not talking monetary. I'm just talking about the leads, the agents, the closings per agents. Really breaking down what drives our business.
Yeah.
Where before is you're so busy, creating opportunities, creating business. Just whether you personally have a good month or a bad month, the office is booming. But this was a year of adjustment and getting our systems in order. I really believe we got that down. On a personal level, my daughter joined the real estate side of the business with us. She closed 2 deals this year. I think she's been doing it maybe six months now. Not even 6 months. So less than half a year, and she was able to, in this crazy world economy, close 2 transactions, and she has 2 little listings right now, land and a business. But with that said, she's out there grinding, hustling. She gave her 2-week notice. So
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah. So mom and dad, we sat down with her and said, listen, are you all in on this business? If you're committed to being a full-time, next level type of real estate agent in the future, you can't work at she works at Starbucks. I see you drinking Bella's cup there. Bella. At Starbucks, I said, great company, but your time, your energy, your effort have to be in this business, especially in 2024, 100%. Right? Because she works a graveyard shift, and then she gets home late at midnight. It's like, no, there's no way.
I had that conversation with her maybe about a month ago or whatever. We had her first closing.
Yep.
And we talked a little bit about how important it was to. I know you feel the security blanket of this job over there, and that's what a lot of times what keeps people from seeing themselves do as well as they can in this business, even in a down year. Right, 3-4 transactions she's already done with. She's already overtaken the income she would have made at Starbucks.
Yep.
So can you imagine if you were going full time at it? And I can think of 2 or 3 different real estate agents in my mind right now. They hold on to the W-2 for the security of it, but they could kill it in the business. And even in a down year, they would do much better than their job offers them.
And it's funny you say that.
It requires a full-time effort.
We're doing a training in January, and I already kind of started with a conversation with her. You don't even know it, but we're calling it the common denominator. But it's basically on plan B. What holds most people back from hitting their full potential? This is a conversation that I had with Angelina. You are holding out to your plan B, which is if I stay at Starbucks and I get, my part-time hours, I don't know, let's say she works 25 to 30 hours a pay period, right? Let's say minimum wage is, I don't know how much she makes, but let's say it's $17 an hour. That's her plan B. That right there, 30 hours at $17, which is enough to pay her insurance, her cell phone bill, her overhead, is what holds her back from exploding in this industry, in my opinion, right? And a lot of agents, maybe even loan officers that have good jobs or whatnot, are not hitting their full potential because they're not able to commit 1,000%. Most people after they work 8 or 9 hours at a job don't want to come and then start the grind of becoming, of following up, right? And lead generating and prospecting and getting rejected. Who the hell wants to do that? I just work 9 hours,
right,
at a job that I'm clearly comfortable with, right? So. Plan B, we got to eliminate them in 2024.
You have to come to a point where you not only believe in the potential of what you're stepping into, but in your own potential to exploit it.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
If you don't work your ass off, then, maybe you'll equal the income and whatever, but you're going to equal it in a riskier way, to be honest, right?
Yeah.
And you may not have as much fun if you don't come in here thinking to yourself, I can do better.
Yeah.
If I can devote more time.
No, and it is a question to our audience. It's a question to anybody listening. What is your plan B? Do you have a plan B, and is it holding you back from your full stride, your full potential, your next level? Like I really believe that God rewards and gives to those that go all in, that sell out, meaning they're all in. There's no plan B. I've seen it. Yeah, and I mean, and some people will be like, "Well, I can't risk it because I have my rent or my mortgage." I get that.
Yeah,
I get that. But there's a science where you start dabbling a little bit more on this side of the business,
right?
And slowly but surely let that go.
I'm gonna say something to you first. I have kept my kids purposely, not anymore because now she's got to contribute, but I have purposely kept my kids away from getting jobs all through high school.
Sure.
I didn't want them to be employed because number one, once you get into the W-2 game or whatever you want to call it, it never lets you go. You're always going to have a job for the rest of your life, right?
Okay.
For the rest of until you retire.
But you started with a W-2.
And so did I. I did not know better. And to me, having a job was honorable, great. It was a step up in whatever it meant to me as a kid, right?
Yeah.
The reason I've kept them out of,
the W-2.
Yes, hey, my friend has a job. Can I get a job? No. Why? Not yet. We have the luxury, and I understand it's a luxury, but we have the luxury of not needing you to have a job.
Yeah.
So put your energy into school and into your clubs at school and into your friends at school and show me good grades, and you don't have to get a job. We'll handle that piece of it for you, but understand that your job is delivering on those things.
Yeah.
Do well at those things.
Really excel.
Yeah. Do well at those things. Don't ask me about can you get a set. Why? Because I didn't want them to get hooked on the W-2 thing, because I remember when you're getting that first job that pays you a minimum wage,
Yeah.
right? what happens is now you're making some money. Now you feel like, well, I can control my destiny. You're being limited by that.
I get that.
The control that you just got. Because the control you just got is minimal in the environment of, you're only going to be able to get so far in that W-2 job that most kids get.
Yeah.
Pizza place or whatever. Sure. And at the same time, I'm going to tell you this, at the same time, my oldest boyfriend, forgive me for talking about
oldest girl, your oldest
daughter's boyfriend. Yeah. This cat has a hybrid idea of that that I totally respect. He's doing school. He graduated and went to the local community college. At the same time, he excelled. He pushed as high as he could at the place where he works. Right, so he's moved up as much as he could in income. What's he doing with his income? This is the different part. He's taking that income. Thank God for his good parents. He's taking that income, putting that income aside because he wants to be a property owner as quickly as possible to start doing the real estate in game, start building equity, start building wealth. He has a plan. At first when I heard about it, I was like, no, drop that crap because he's a talented, very smart kid.
Yeah.
Drop that crap and go do, I didn't tell him, I told my kid, but go do school full time, get on it. School's more important, blah, blah, blah. Then I saw him develop on that a little bit. And I'm like, no, hell, I need to shut up.
I would love to meet him.
Respect this kid.
Yeah, I love that.
Because he's got a plan that most kids don't at his age, right? So regardless, do it my...
Anyways, is this a kid that has a BMW or two?
No. No.
I thought we should have started.
I got to go into the car. He does have...
That must have been the ex-boyfriend that had the 2 or 3 BMWs. And he tried to motivate him.
So I respect his plan. How can you not respect that plan? Because number one, it is a plan.
Yeah.
Most kids just like willy-nilly at that point.
I agree with that.
Let me get my minimum wage job and live off of that until I realize the world's more expensive than what it provides, et cetera, et cetera. I honestly, I respect the hell out of it now. And I'm thinking my daughter's way of doing it, his way of fantastic. Both sides are fantastic.
Yeah.
Move forward. Fail forward. Keep going forward.
I love that. Good strategy, good plan. I respect, I don't want my kids working until, till they get out of high school or, in college. I get that. For me, for us, I take it case by case with our children. You know your kids. I know my kids very well. I know who wants to go to college and who does not want to go to college. I know one of them wants to, like, at 17 or 18, come in here and work with us, like, on day one out of high school. I don't think that's a good plan. He's going to go to community college, but and trade classes, and I'm gonna put him in Toastmasters and to elevate his game. But with that said, if he's not in sports, I don't want a kid home at 3:00.
Yeah,
after school doing shit. I'm not. Again, I might be a hard ass parent for this, but I don't want him to come home after school at 3:00 just to play video games, communicate with his girlfriend, go walk the dog all day long. Absolutely not.
Right.
Go learn a trade, go get a job. You're going to learn customer service and how to communicate and deal with, somebody bitching and complaining about the wrong order on their fries or whatever. Angelina did that. I think it's served her well in this business. I hear on the phone, customer service, she did pretty well, What
I tell you about Angelina is when I watch her talk to people, there's a lack of fear, which a lot of people that step into this business.
Unless she's talking no habla español.
She's talking to you.
or Spanish.
But that's what she has me for. It doesn't matter.
Right.
When she's talking to clients, there's a lack of fear when she talks to clients. And that's such a big thing for realtors because some realtors are honestly scared.
Yeah,
I agree. Years to get out of that.
I agree.
They realize.
No, but you know what? I think that comes back from when I started in the business. I was she was maybe 2008. She was probably 7 years old, 8 years old. I would take her to the Swami and I would pay her $5 for that for those 4 hours at the Swami to have a stack of flyers and pass them out to the people passing by my booth. So I'd be talking to people. She'd be there, and the goal was like, you get $5 and we'll walk around and buy whatever you want. So it started at a very young age, but I think because of that, she hated real estate until after high school.
Until she did.
Yeah. So probably like from 15 to 18, she goes, heck no, I don't want to do real estate. I know my parents are doing it. They're doing it well. They want a company, but I'm not interested in that. Heck no. But I think, a year or two out of high school, when she started seeing the perks or the realities of going out there and building your career business and whatever you decide to do, it's a lot harder than, what a lot of people. So she decided to enter this industry, and I'm happy for her because I think now that she has no plan B and she's got to create business and close business for her and her business, she's going to do well. She's a hustler. She's a grinder. She gets it, and she wants to be good, right?
I'm excited for my kids.
Yep.
I've got one coming out of high school this year, heading off into college and moving out, kind of. Funny. But, and then I've got the one who's going to head into her sophomore year of college, and she's working, and et cetera. So I like to see the development in it. I'm excited to see what they're going to come up with next. Sounds like your kids are headed in a good direction. Let's talk about prediction.
Okay.
I know that you made some predictions for 2023.
Uh-huh.
You want to say you're 50% correct. I want to say you're about 75% wrong. But let's talk about what you said and what wound up happening. And then let's make some predictions for 2024
All right.
and see where we, on the record, wind up on 2020.
I'll actually give you the 75% because I wrote down, we right before we started this podcast, I replayed my last December in 2022, going into 23, the predictions for me for 2023. I called number one was a year of adjustments and losing 10 to 15% of the marketplace, the agents in the marketplace.
Yeah, we wound up losing about 4%.
Well, that's just the data, and it's old data that you pulled up. 60,000. We've lost over 100,000 agents nationwide.
Okay.
That would put us right around 10%. So I'm going to call myself right on this one. Ching, ching.
This is called making up numbers.
I learned that from the best. This is for you.
I said it out loud. You said it out loud, or I was making shit up.
No. The news, man. It was my
I see.
I love it. All right. So, no. You know, it's up to debate. We don't have the proper data. It's definitely more than 60,000.
Okay.
I had predicted that the prices were going to probably come down 5 to 15% down in 2023.
Oh my God,
They did not. Oh no, was I on that shit?
we were up 5 to 6% nationwide.
Yeah.
Instead, you and our good friend Tano both bet, and neither one of them will acknowledge this bet, but both made it. They both thought that we would be down some crazy amount in real estate overall. Both were wrong. Both owe me a steak dinner. Neither happens to remember. Let's go. Keep going.
We must have been drinking because I don't remember this conversation. All right, number 3. I was wrong on this one. Prediction in 2022 was that unemployment first quarter would be significantly higher than it was the last quarter of 2022. It stayed around about the same, 3.5. We looked up the data.
Down to 3.5. So it's unemployed. Fewer people were unemployed.
So it came down. Again, it goes back to my point on this podcast. The unknown. Everything that you brought up on Montano, everything that we've been programmed to understand. Inflation goes up, job losses, rates go up. What normally happens?
Yeah, no.
Shit, it's the Fed.
It's the Fed.
Yeah, I know the value.
But it turns out that the American consumer is a beast and kept everybody. More people kept buying. More people kept their jobs. The formula worked out. Everybody who didn't want to credit the Fed for a soft landing now has to eat their words and say a soft landing is exactly where we are.
You call that, there's a word for this, my friend.
Yes.
Biden economics.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if I buy all that. I mean, there was the credit debt, the debt.
Yeah, so
when
for the economy overall, if you listen to this podcast enough, you know that I don't feel like the average American is in a good position. And you know exactly how I feel that can be fixed. But the economy overall is in a soft landing position at this point.
And last prediction, but not last, my last prediction for 2023 was rich got richer and the poor were going to get poorer.
That, or you were 100% correct.
I was correct on that one. I mean, and it's true to form where adjusting prices, losing agents, unemployment, yet the rich got richer. How does that happen?
The rich know how to take advantage of tough economic situations.
Correct.
They took their wealth from those people who now don't have it. So take that for what you want. Listen to my last podcast and you'll see what I say there.
Yeah.
And so they know how to take advantage where if you're making $40,000, $50,000 a year, you're not really in a position to be exploiting the avenues of wealth that the wealthy do.
All right. So let's talk about 2024 predictions. Nobody gives a shit about 2023 anymore. The year is done.
On the record, here we go.
On the record.
Hector, you will make a reel in 2025 and you'll show us how wrong we are about to be. Let's go.
All right.
Where do you think, I'll start off with rates. Where do you think rates are going to be by the end of 2024?
there's gonna be somewhere between 4.5 to 5.25.
I think that's so ambitious on your part, and I honestly believe it would require tough economic times than the ones we see coming right now. I think we land somewhere in the lower sixes by the end.
Lower sixes. Okay, so I say
to get down into the fours or very low fives. We're gonna have to see tough economic times, which right now I do not see on the horizon.
See, and I kind of see that happening. It's just people running out of money. It is an election year, so I think that might float us a little bit in 2024. But I do see with inflation almost getting to the 2% mark, that they're going to loosen up some stuff. Try to move
loosen up doesn't mean drive rates down. It could just mean because right now they're artificially inflating rates. If they take their foot off the gas, that doesn't take us to 4%. It doesn't take us into the fours.
I know what you mean, but I believe it's going to drive the economy in an election year where the people that it benefits the most will get their return, their votes, I don't know, we'll get what they're looking for, a big push towards the end of the year. So I believe by the end of 2024 will be a high fours, low fives, 5.1, 5.25.
High fours, low fives.
Yeah.
Me, I'm saying low six.
Okay. All right. 2024. Let's talk politics. Will it be a Democrat be the president?
Oof.
Or will it be a Republican?
The polls right now are saying that...
And I don't want names. I just want... Is it going to be a Democrat that's going to win? Or a...
The polls right now... Okay, I'll rephrase. The polls right now are saying that if the Republican front runner gets to be on the ballots, then the polls are saying that he'll likely be the incumbent Democrat. There's a lot of variables, but I agree with that. If he gets to be on the ballot, it's probable that he'll become the president again.
You're talking Republican.
Yes.
Okay. So what percentage? Are you saying that?
Slim.
Less than 10%?
I think he will lose the popular vote, but he has enough mechanisms in place in the contested states that he will win the overall election.
So you're saying...
Just like the last couple of Republican guys have lost the public vote, the overall vote by numbers, even though some of them lie about it and say that they don't. They didn't. They did not win the popular vote. That's gone to the Democrat. But they one of them at least has still managed to pull off the election overall because they win the
Democrat 2024 is going to win. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that. I'm saying there's an if scenario. If the Republican candidate is able to make it to the ballot, then he wins by a slim margin.
Oh, well, okay, good.
Okay, good.
We're just taking predictions. I actually think the Democratic Party has done a really good a really good job
on the economy.
No, in the way they run the campaigns. All these.
This is for the topic. Wages have gone up. And unemployment has stayed low and gone down further. Wealthy people have still gotten wealthier, right? We are now producing more oil domestically than I think any nation on earth.
Where's your source of that?
I think I know for a fact that gas prices are headed way down, way down.
Just like our rates.
But I hear nobody saying, "Hey, congratulations, go Democrat on pushing the gas prices down." You want to know why? Because guess what? Politicians don't have a ton to do with short-term gas prices. They don't. As much as we want to credit them or hate them for it, they don't. But so long as we're going to assign credit, let's go ahead and give them the win on that one. You're seeing a drive up where on social issues where you saw the potential huge loss on the Roe versus Wade. Guess what? The states jumped in and decided Roe v. Wade was a great idea, but if you're not going to do it for us, we're still going to pull it off.
Right.
So most states have now ratified pro-choice into their own constitutions or laws and have protected women's right to choose. So on a lot of levels that conservatives will never talk about, this has been a hell of a year for Democrats.
I think a Democrat's going to win. I'm not saying I'm voting for that, but I think they've mastered the art of.
Don't say stealing elections. I'll stab you.
No, not at all. I'm not. I'm not one of those. But I think they've mastered the art of running a campaign long term and getting out there and getting the votes that they want. Do I believe that Biden is the most popular president ever to have got the votes that he based on the votes that he got last on his winning campaign? He is. I don't know. Again, I don't know if I buy that. Okay, let's get into real estate.
Yeah,
prediction. Our home price is going to be up or down at the end of the year 2024?
Home prices are going to be up, in my opinion, between 6 and 7% for the year nationwide.
Okay. By the way, if my rate prediction is accurate, low fives, I would say probably up another 10%.
Oh yeah.
But I'm going to be realistic. I don't think that rate is really going to take off. So probably the latter part of the year. I do believe I'm going to guess 5% growth year over year in 2024. All right. That's the last one you want to make a prediction.
Do you want to put a steak dinner on that?
Yeah.
I know, because I know you don't pay your...
Oh, shut up. I always pay. 18 holes, you pick the golf course. That's the bet.
Solid. Okay.
All right?
That's cool. I like that.
I like that. All right. Well, our last one. What do you want to go for the last prediction 2024?
Let's see. So we covered rates. We covered values. Do you think... How much more inventory, this is a tougher one actually, how much more inventory do you think there will be on the market for 2024 than there was in 2023? I take it for granted there will be more than there was in 2023. How much more is my question?
I'm going to say this year all the realtors across the U.S., we're going to sell somewhere about 4 million homes, right? Now there's about 4 million homes. I believe that with the rates coming or touching sixes, low sixes maybe, or get high fives by the middle part of next year, I hope. I believe that will drive sellers to be able to put stuff on the market. I think it's going to grow probably by 500,000 homes. I'm going to say the increase will be there about 500,000 more homes. Where do I get that number? I don't know where I get the number, but I'll tell you why I think it's going to. Investors are going to be back shopping and creating opportunities and looking to flip homes. Wholesalers are out there creating business right now. And so I do believe that they will feel comfortable enough. Hey, rates are no longer unknown. Right. It's not a year of unknown, the economy going to break, recession, anything in the six drives the market. It's a standard market.
Correct.
I think. So with that, I think it's not going to go up 1 million homes sales in 1 year. I think somewhere in the middle, about 500,000 increase. So
put it a little higher. I'm going to say somewhere about 750,000 more.
Okay, 4.7 million sales. I'm going to say closer to 4.5. But man, I hope you're right, my friend, on this one.
I hope I'm right too, to be honest with you, because it's sellers right now. It's the seller psychology right now, and pocketbook. Let's be honest, right? The economy of it that's keeping the value growth that came out of this the last couple of years. A lot of it was sellers holding back. So there is a repressed need to sell property. And I'm thinking sellers, a good chunk of them are going to be more motivated by the numbers next year.
Last question before we wrap up. We're going into overtime. We don't get paid overtime.
We for sure are. So let's go.
2024, what is the biggest weakness that you're going to work on in 2024? Biggest weakness for Ernesto that you're going to conquer and kick its ass?
Okay, so I have a bunch of efficiencies to build in to the business. So I don't know if I'll call it weakness. I'll call it an opportunity to improve on efficiencies for sure on the business side. On the personal side, it's got to be all physical again. I got to get back into the state that I was prior to March.
Okay, I'll share mine. I know you didn't ask me.
I'm asking you now. I thought it was a given that you were going to answer.
Okay, so ask me.
Jose, what are the weaknesses you're going to work on in 2024?
I love that. I want to be a better boss. So for me, the simple answer is I'm not too full of myself. I know there's a lot of room for growth. My goal is to be the best CEO that I possibly can. In doing so, I have to develop more patience. I have to develop more, I don't want to say more work ethic because I'm a hard worker, but I want to be recommitted to the growth of every department separately. Like separate, compartmentalize the strategy of growth. So for me, just because we run a great team, a real estate team, doesn't mean that I'm going to be able to grow a great mortgage company. So I know that I got to get better. I'm going to get in the trenches with you. And my goal is to become an overall better boss and grow every single individual department to its highest level, right? So the standard is there. But I realize how hard it is. I give a lot of credit to the great mortgage originators and the great bosses of mortgage companies because it's not as easy as it seems, you know? So for me, it's that realizing that.
Okay. Can we get that last few seconds of audio and loop it here around and just play it 4 seconds, random texts and emails? Here, remember you said this?
100%. And I'm committed to that because there's no way that I could call myself a good boss. Forget boss. I can't call myself a good CEO if there's a flat tire in my running business, right?
Right.
So with that said, I'm all in. I'm committed, and you know, what's that saying?
It takes what it takes.
Yeah, I love it.
2024 is going to be, that's the motto for 2024. I heard it from UW.
Matt Ishba.
Matt Ishba. It takes what it takes.
And that's what it's going to be. So
that's the
with that said, guys,
I already told my wife, I was like, I'm going to tell you right now. I had this conversation with her this morning. I just told her, it takes what it takes in 2024. You might see less of me. It might be that kind of year where we want to take advantage of the business that comes and the hard work will pay off in 2024. So I kind of prepped her mentally, prepping myself mentally for really, really hard work in 2024. That's gonna be very productive.
I love it, bro. I'm gonna be right there, right behind you, back against your back, swinging on the other end. So with that said, 2023 is a wrap for Dad's House podcast. As you can tell, me and I was gonna say Vanessa. Me and Ernesto, sorry, bro. You're not as good looking as but I did get you a gift.
I thank you.
Yeah. So with that said, it's a wrap for Dad's House Podcast 2023. We're excited. We're going to double down. We're going to really build this out, and we're going to create a better experience.
Yeah, you'll see some improvements to Dad's House Podcast in 2024 for sure.
But you going to grow your hair out, or what are we talking about? With that said, thank you. Subscribe, follow, share this with somebody that should be listening. But thank you guys for tuning in and being part of it.
Best of luck to everybody in 2024. I hope you've enjoyed the content and keep listening.
That's it. Bye-bye.